Hi, this is Ms. Hattie from Olympian High School. I'm going to teach you about Chapter 20, Economic Growth and Social Development from the Traditions and Encounters textbook by Dr. Bentley. So it starts off with a small introduction that makes the comparison between post-classical Western Europe in the High Middle Ages and other societies in the earlier part of the Middle Ages or post-classical period. And basically it's saying that because of increased agricultural production, we're going to see urbanization, manufacturing, and trade increase in European society. So you could make the comparison to other societies that we're going to see increased agricultural production will stimulate the economy. So let's talk about the growth of the agricultural economy. Here again, it makes the comparison to China, India, and other parts of the Islamic world during the post-classical period that you have increase in agricultural yields lead to demographic growth, renewed revival of the cities, manufacturing, and other things. So then the point is to figure out why, the causes of this new agricultural expansion. And there's going to talk about all kinds of causes. One cause is the expansion of arable land or land that you can farm. So beginning in the late 10th century or 900s, we see local lords using what we used to call feudalism. We see them pacifying or creating peace within their lands, and there's an end to these invasions. And because of that, there's more people alive. Since there's more people alive, we see population pressure, more people. So in response, you have the serfs, which we talked about in the past, and monks cutting down trees and forests, draining swamps, and increasing the amount of land for agriculture. So they're basically making more land available to create food for all these extra people. Now, initially, there's going to be a change. Initially, the lords opposed this because they wanted more land to hunt. But after a while, gradually, they're going to realize that this is an important change because they can tax it and improve their own wealth. So by the 1100s or the 12th century, we're going to see the lords supporting the expansion of cultivation. We also see a lot of improved agricultural techniques that you can find in this chapter. There are so many things to mention. Crop rotation, the introduction of beans. Beans are important because they fix nitrogen in the soil, so they enrich the soil. Using the droppings or the bathroom things of animals as fertilizer. It's the spread of new techniques of how to farm using books that were written in the spoken languages or vernacular languages. That's going to lead to increased agricultural productivity. New tools. So you have some old tools. You should know which ones are old, which ones are new, in case you get asked a change in continuity question on the AP test. So some of the technologies are old. For example, water mills and heavy plows are still from the post-classical period, they're from the early post-classical period. And then you have new things like the horseshoes and horse collars, which made it easier to basically farm using a horse instead of slower oxen. So it's going to improve agricultural production. You also have new crops being introduced to the diet. Grain was the primary diet of Europeans up until the High Middle Ages. So grain products, gruel, bread. And then by 1000 to 1300, they're changing their diet. There's a little bit more meat, there's more dairy, there's fish, there's vegetables, there's legumes, beans, peas, and of course there's all of these amazing foods that were spread because of contact with the Muslims. The Darul Islam expanding brought these new foods into the European diet, and you can read about them like lemons, limes, oranges. Imagine if you didn't have access to those, right? Prior to 1000, if you were living in Europe, you might not have. Okay, so all of this extra food, predictably, is going to have the effect of demographic growth. Demographic growth just means population growth. Now, when we're talking about population, it's easy to get lost in the numbers. So remember that California has a population of roughly 40 million, and the population, so that's California, and the population of the entire United States is 328 million. So now you're getting a sense of what are the numbers. San Diego is 3.5 million. Which is where we're from, obviously. So if you look at prior to this expansion in agriculture, all of Europe stood at about 29 million. And we're going to see that increase, sometimes a 30% increase within 1 century, largely because of the things we just mentioned. And so we're going to see it jump up to 79 million by 1300. It's more significant than what it was. There will be a decrease because of disease that we'll talk about more in chapter 22, but not for now. For now, just understand that all of those changes that we mentioned about horse collars, horseshoes, new information about how to improve agricultural production are going to have the effect of increasing population growth, and that will have an effect of reviving some of the towns and cities that used to thrive during the Roman period. They're going to start to thrive again, and that will have its own effects. Okay, so let's jump into the revival of towns and trades on the next video.